ikoko basi.
Yeah, kwakuri bonda kusuwa sha.
Munombondiswai kana kumbofona sure.
Yeah, sorry kwakuri busy sha. Waswera uchiteko nasi?
Kutombenya zvangu nzunguka dzembe wona kamvura yanaya fiu totomboita kazvekuchimunda chedu chii.
Ko baby dairo ukafona?
Aina basa ifio.
Sha, auti aina basa. Anokanzi Cobra. Ndiani anonzi Cobra iwe?
Ukabva waziya vanhu vese ere naifili.
Alice sha, hausikundidaira ndati ndiani anonzi Cobra.
Mukomana wechingoro yanotengesa Cobra.
Ndipe ndizvionere chimwe ndipo phone.
Zvaita sei
Alice
kuti
sha,
kanfili.
Alice ndipo phone Alice.
Aiwa kanfili.
Ati dimana naro Alice ndipo phone.
Iyo Alice. Ndikuvadza kani Philip ndisiye. Amai. Stop gender-based violence. Stop fighting with your partner. Dzidzai kutaurirana.
Fundani ukukhulumisana.
Musarovana.
Lingachayana.
Musakuvadzana.
Lingalimazana.
Call us today on 577 for help. This message is brought to you by Say What in partnership with United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe.
It is a Zim Papers radio broadcast simulcast. We're live on Star FM, sounding good all the time, on Diamond FM as well as on Platinum FM. We welcome our listeners. I am V Candy Magdamini. We're also live on Facebook. You can go join our live there as well. It is a program brought to us by Say What with the support of the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. And Say What is celebrating 20 years of championing sexual reproductive health rights for young people, and April is Sexual Assault Month, and today's discussion will focus on that. Remember, our toll-free call, our number to call is 577 if you need psychosocial support or SRHR related challenges and solutions. Yeah, that's the number. You may want to save that number or to pass it on to someone who you think may need it. 577, and they will get the assistance that they need. Today we are revisiting Parliament's sexual harassment report. And as I say, this program is brought to us by Say What with the support of the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. Joining me live in studio is Oline Makoni. She is a student, and she will be speaking on behalf of the students. And Carlton Mapaka, he is an SRHR defender. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Weekend. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Morning. Hi.
Thank you for coming to the studio and joining us today. Let me start with you, Carlton. Briefly tell us what is meant by the terms actually, sexual harassment and sexual assault.
Okay, thank you, Miss Vikanti. So, by the term sexual harassment, we're just talking about unwelcome behavior, which can be perpetrated onto any person, be it any maybe seeking for sexual favors in a way that someone is not comfortable with. And then when we look at sexual assault, this is any sexual conduct perpetrated to any other human being, be it maybe we can talk of aspects like rape, aggravated sexual assault. So that's the definition.
Okay, and coming to you, Orlean, what are your experiences with sexual harassment and assault?
Thank you very much. So maybe, when I'm speaking in light of the students, I'm from Zim University of Technology, and I can say during my tenure there since 2019, we've been really experiencing a lot of these circumstances whereby then students get to practice what is called a thigh for a mark. It has now become very normal across many tertiary institutions.
A thigh for
a thigh for a mark.
Okay.
Right. So it's whereby maybe lecturer anototaura kuti mune maita group work but mamarks odzoka kasiyana. And then you begin to grumble, and then lecturer obva ati mongoitawo kasi vanhu vakuru munoziva zvekuita. Yes.
Zviriko zvakadaro Lynn.
Zviriko.
A thigh for a mark.
a thigh for a mark, and it's
Sure.
that open. So my lecturer anongoshtaura kunge in a joking way, right? Kutangata
Vari
guys,
kuseka.
vamwe veseka mongodaidaiso vanhu vakuru, vamwe vanoziva kuti zvofamba sei, and then iwo kana usiri munhu mukuru, yeah, wotoendawo nekashiri kako kumba mwachienda nemadistinction. And then at the same time we're now realizing kuti hazvisi on the part yevasikana chete, but even the boys suffer the brunt of this sexual harassment, because then the lecturers may then tell them to seek for girls for them, and when the guys fail to deliver, ndeimwe nyaya yakatokura yakadaro. So then now the issue now is when it comes to defining sexual harassment on campus, nena yokuti ma definition akasiyana across campuses, now it becomes really difficult to charge the perpetrators. So sometimes in many circumstances the lecturers are actually given an opportunity to resign, meaning that they can actually be employed at another tertiary institution and still
They
do
should be
that.
unemployable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's amazing. And it's what also happens is that when we begin to meet our parliamentarians since last year, when we began to engage them and have these conversations, then they were now defining some of these lecturers as non-academic bachelors. So kana matoti lecturer wangu ibachura matolikaliza kaso.
Wokuti bachelor.
Yeah. So it becomes really difficult. We want to move to a period whereby we actually say that intimate relations are strongly prohibited between lecturers and
Yes.
students. And I applaud my university of choice, University of Technology, because their sexual harassment policy actually highlights that there should never be communication of any kind between the lecturer and the student. Wherein if the lecturer communicates with the student per WhatsApp chaipo, especially mskana, because the policy is biased towards skana, inotonzi sexual harassment. Kana lecturer akatongokumbira picture asina zvimwe zvaataura, itori sexual harassment. Kana kuti lecturer akakomenda dressing yemwana pacampus, itori sexual harassment. Because then it's a multicultural institution, so then we can't then say, hey, wear long skirt. Maybe the furthest that we could go during the time I was in SLC was to say, vaskana kana makupfeka ukashama kumusoro chipfeka okuzasi, ukashama uzasi pfeka kumusoro, but we couldn't go beyond that because we are hosting students from maybe the DRC, kunopisa avana kuzvijaira zveku so yeah. So it's the lecturer then who has to look the other side, do their job and go home.
Oh, yeah, very true. Unheard of, and I'm actually shook. A thigh for a mark. You can also hit us up on our WhatsApp platform. I want to hear from students in tertiary institutions, universities, what your experience has been as well. Thank you so much for bringing this to light. I think I saw a video sometime of a student, I know their lecturer. It trended sometime end of last year or this year. Vashto batana tikati. Because you'll be thinking your lecturer is your lecturer. That's what I thought. And if they are crossing the lines, then it has to be unacceptable, and the law has to do its course, has to take its course. Carlton, what gaps are there from the Parliament's sexual harassment report?
Okay, speaking of the gaps, it's nothing new actually, because the same things that my colleague has just said are the gaps that we have. So looking at the parliamentary report that they gave last year, we see that firstly the issue of an independent or a standalone sexual harassment policy is one of the greatest gap that we have, because looking at the situation, most of the institutions, for example, University of Zimbabwe and Lupane State University, they have the issues of sexual harassment discussed in a broader policy, a policy which has everything to do with the institution. So you find kuti such issues are so there is need of a standalone universal actually policy govern our institutions. If we are to look at the situation now, Zimbabwe has released a sexual harassment policy, a standalone sexual harassment policy. So it is something that we also need in the institutions, so that the institutions they feed from that policy. And then we also look at the problems of accommodation in institutions. Those are some of the gaps that we have. They promote this thing, Chekunzi, sexual harassment, because you look at someone, the students, because pani inadequate accommodation per institution. I will speak of an issue yaka report at a particular university whereby the dean had to say kuti they received a case mwana akano reporter after a roommate aenda kunoita whatever they do with the boyfriend in the room, and she was there. That was a form of sexual harassment. So she had to report kuti ndozvaitika. But then looking at it, it is because kuti vanhu havari kushare. If you come use it, you'd find kuti kuma NC2 or NC3 they usually had 2 people sharing my banks. So obviously inini nenyaya dzangu dzandoda kuitawo, and the other person has nyaya dzake dzaada kuita, you find kuti we end up harassing each other in so many different ways. And then also looking at the accommodation here of campus, many students are harassed by their landlords or the guardians avari kugara nawo. Pamwe ndi Olin ari kubva kuno kuHarare ari kuenda kuChinhoi, ari kunogara nabamukuru vari kunakirwa naOlin. Vachatopedzera vakuita sei vakutomuharasa in any other forms that we may think of. And then we also look at the issue ignorance. In as much as we have these policies, maybe tertiary institutions or teachers colleges may say kuti we have these sexual harassment policies, the aspect yekuti ma students, even the staff members, havasi kutoziva nezvazvo, because you'd find kuti when you come for orientation tiri mapato 1 pipe, we expect kuti titoudzwa kunzi kune a sexual harassment policy yakadai sona, but then you'll find kuti those issues they are just brushed off. We also speak of nyaya kuti maybe let's have those courses anotaura nezveguidance yepacampus. We speak of those courses akaita say anotongonanga nezvenyaya dzesexual harassment and sexual assault, because you'll find kuti if I'm sexually harassed, because I do not know anything about sexual harassment pachikoro kuti policy yachirumboti nezvei, I don't know where to go and report, and I don't know kuti kana ndaripota zvichafanira kufamba sei. So the aspect here ignorance muma students, even the staff members, I think it's something that the universities themselves have to take up kuti pa orientation they make sure kuti munhu wese aziva about the policies. Even the staff members, they need to know about this, because they end up harassing us my students, and then they claim kuti maybe apatorina chinoita sei chinotaura chinogovern about sexual harassment pachikoro. So those are some of the prominent gaps that we identified by the parliament.
Thank you for bringing that to light. If you're just tuning in, it is a program brought to us by Say What, with the support of the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. We're also live on Facebook. And as I highlighted earlier, April is Sexual Assault Month. And today's discussion is focusing on that. We're talking about sexual harassment and sexual assault. Got a message here saying... Speaking on sexual harassment, can we talk about how ladies think sexual harassment of the male gender is flirting? Who'd want to answer to that?
I'm not sure if I got that very well.
As women, when we throw ourselves at men, we'll be thinking it's flirting and it's harmless. We trivialize it, but then it will be sexual harassment. Maybe, Carlton, do you feel that way? Because sometimes you also experience that as men.
Harassment. Because you know, like the way that girls, pardon my actions, I'm so sure the last conversation that you had here last week was talking about kuti people maybe musikana ari kuita my actions, and then the guy also toona ngechi apiwa a go ahead to have something. So you'd see kuti too many guys, pamwe inini ndatongosvika, I don't even have those thoughts of having any maybe sexual contact nemunhu, and then musikana ari kuzvikanda kwandiri, maybe takangomira ari kundiguma chichi. Obviously isusu we are sexually aroused and nezvinhu izvozvo, because we are all sensitive, even the girls, they are sensitive. So at times it becomes sexual harassment. Just that kuti maybe vakomana, they are also ignorant kuti sexual harassment yacho inoitika kana zvamboitika sei. But most of the times, some actions that the girls do, they're actually sexually harassing the boys.
All right. Fair enough. Recommendations stipulated in the sexual harassment report, Olin, have not been met till date. Yeah. What challenges does this present to students and young people in general?
Thank you very much, V. Candy. Now we'll see that at the moment, because there is no law, it also means that there is no policing, there is no enforcement. So we now have instances whereby if sexual harassment goes out of hand and somebody has to report to the police, then the police says, well, we understand your situation, but we really can't enforce or police it because it is not law. So we need the government to go an extra mile and make it a bill and turn it into a law, because the police cannot enforce anything that is not law. The campus administrations cannot enforce anything that is not law. So currently at the moment, we can safely say perpetrators are at par to do whatever they want and get away with it. So this is one of the implications of taking time to make a bill out of this whole scenario. And then also we're looking at the fact that from the conversations that we're having last year with the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, with a few honorable members from Parliament, they had then put forward promises and clauses to say that by June 2022, there are independent bodies that should have been set up that would deal with sexual harassment policy on each and every campus. That has not been met. And then we'd also need to look at the fact that we have to restart the submission process. So tomorrow is too late. Whatever needs to be done has to be done today and now. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Oline Makoni. She is a student at Carlton Mafaka, SRHR Defender. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, this program brought to us by Say What, with support from the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. And remember the number 577 for any assistance. 577 if you need psychosocial support, SRHR related challenges and solutions. That's the number. It was a Zim Papers radio broadcast, simulcast live on Platinum FM, Diamond FM, as well as Star FM, sounding good all the time. I am V Candy. Until next week, thank you for listening.
Unity, freedom, work. Zim at 43. Our independence on Star FM, sounding good all the time.